I've got Chris Evans here from TrackMate. TrackMate, Chris, what do you do?
So TrackMate are a connected vehicle technology company, which sounds
scary.
Very scary, yeah. But what does that mean? We provide devices that basically connect vehicles to the internet for the purpose of getting data out of those vehicles, and then we help our customers understand that data and get business benefit out of that data. So that could be something as simple as a black box device that plugs into the OBD port of a light commercial vehicle or a car to get vehicle information such as speed, position, how the vehicle is being driven, how much fuel it's consuming, and obviously that kind of data can be really valuable for a number of different markets. We're very strong in the insurance space, so we work with a number of the usage-based insurance providers.
Sort of young drivers, that kind of thing.
Sort of young driver policies, those sorts of thing. But as well as the kind of the corporate market where we're helping operators of large fleets of light commercial vehicles to better understand how their vehicles are being used, how they're being driven, and whether there are any kind of efficiencies that they can gain from operating their fleet.
So is it possible for businesses to make a financial saving as a result of the data and information that you collect?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably easier to say that it's unusual for business, for me to come across a business that can't make a saving, because most businesses would be able to immediately see a tangible benefit in terms of reduction in fuel consumption, and that can be anything between 2 and, in exceptional cases, 10%.
Wow.
Depending on how their drivers have been behaving, and that's simply a function of drivers being able to see how they're driving via an in-cab feedback device, which helps them to understand when they're not driving the vehicle in the smoothest, most efficient way. There are knock-on savings also in terms of the maintenance of the vehicles, because as the vehicle is not being driven as hard, it's not having harsh braking events, harsh acceleration events, that means less wear and tear on the vehicle. And we're also able to pull out fault codes from the vehicle, so that, for example, you're able to see if a vehicle is running low on AdBlue, you would then be able to kind of intervene and see that level needs topping up, or if there's a problem with a exhaust valve which is clogging up, then you can instruct the driver to take it on a long run and clear the problem before it actually happens. So for most, I would say it's very unusual that an organisation doesn't make a saving which could actually pay for the telematics system in the first place.
So it's not overstating the case to say that it pays for itself.
Yeah, you see in-year payback for
in-year.
Yeah, for the actual installation of the system, and because of the change in driver behaviour and the way that has that effect on the fuel consumption. The challenge then becomes to move on to subsequent year increments, because typically an operator will say, okay, I've spent the money on the telematics and I've changed my driver's behaviour, so now maybe what I can do is switch off the telematics because I've made the saving. And what we've seen in the past is that actually by switching off the driver feedback device, or by removing the telematics totally, there is a regression in driver behaviour, and that you go back to the situation you were before. And obviously, if you want to be able to demonstrate to your insurance company that you have an active driver management program, then telematics is a really key part of that.
We're at GreenFleet at a round table today in Milton Keynes, and we've had a group of people, some from businesses, some from a policy area. Would you say that today has given you insights around how the policies have been developed that will keep our transport more efficient, and also the real world experience of what goes on at the sharp end of fleets?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been very useful for a number of reasons. firstly from the kind of governmental side of things to understand some of the initiatives that are taking place, some of which, you know, TrackMate is actually involved in, but I wasn't aware that there was such a wide breadth of projects and organisations supporting the transition to electric vehicles. It's also interesting to hear some of the pain points of the operators, particularly at the heavier goods vehicle end section of the market, where there just don't seem to be adequate solutions out there for certain types of vehicles. Where we're looking at kind of cars and light vans, certainly we can see a lot of product coming to market now, and there are some difficulties with supply levels, etc. But at the heavy good vehicle end of the market, and if you're talking about people who are, you know, operating cranes and that kind of stuff, then the technology doesn't seem to be quite there at the moment. So there's no lack of ambition for those organisations to embrace these new technologies, but there just hasn't been any sufficient application of the correct products for them to be able to buy into those.
But that said, there's still a big market out there for you in terms of what currently exists in electric vehicles and in fleet management. So lots of work for you to be getting on with.
Yeah, correct. I mean, even traditionally powered vehicles at the moment, you know, diesel-powered vehicles, petrol-powered vehicles, there is scope to save, you know, up to 30%. We've seen in terms of optimising how organisations are organising their delivery rounds, for example. So, you know, that's a massive saving if you completely look at your delivery schedule in a holistic way. You can see savings of that level. Not suggesting that would happen for everybody, but certainly anecdotally that has happened. And if you get those kind of details right, I think that will provide savings in terms of operating costs, in terms of your CO2 emissions, and it's a very valuable step towards the overall picture of reducing the overall number of emissions for organisations.
Seriously worthwhile piece of kit to do a very important job.
Exactly.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very kind.
Good pleasure.